Brothers and sisters, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna do staple tier list. The first tier is gonna be chef's keys. The best ones are gonna be in this category. Then the other ones, like the one below it, is gonna be cooking. Because that means that we are doing something good, even though it's not perfect. And then spicy, because we can only find perfection if we start testing and trying new stuff. Overcooked is when the theory does not work behind a card or a strategy. And it's raw!
This raw!
It's because it's not good at all. And maybe you should try it in the side. So, let's proceed. First of all, Spooky Dogwood. Spooky Dogwood is definitely the card that dominated during the previous event. It's a card that you side on time, at least even 15 minutes before time. And it's the card that basically was contested to be one of the best side cards during European WCQ that was hosted in Berlin. I would assume that this card is a chef kiss. It's a very dangerous card that if you don't prepare for, or if you don't have a solid strategy, it's gonna definitely steal some games for no reason. I mean, it's not like for no reason. You're gonna lose on time. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Shifter, again, when I talk about an entrap being broken, when I talk about an entrap being a solid tier 0 entrap, a solid tier 0 staple, a solid board breaker staple, tier 0 card that only a few decks can afford, and those decks are usually not gonna be strong enough. Bestials are good, in my opinion. To a certain level, they are definitely good. They can avoid cards like Caesar from coming off the board, because what people are doing right now, there are two different kinds of people that are playing Fiendsmith. One that plays only one Fiendsmith, the other one that plays an EV packet, right? But they both go for a Caesar line because that's the new wave in order to respect Nibiru. So they go Bestials, basically avoid that interaction, avoid the splash ability of Caesar, and avoid Caesar from coming to the board, into the board, I guess. They are good, I would not say those are like tier 0 entraps, I would say those are options. I like a lot Druids, I like a lot Magnamut. I would not say those are mandatory, because those don't really stop your opponent from comboing at all. Those are more like a sort of package that comes as a second or third entrap, most likely the third entrap. I like those, so I would put those in cooking. Again, we are also considering Boldrake. Poor Boldrake is literally the only one left. Dominus Purge, it's a very good entrap. I like it a lot, but again, those kind of entraps, those are the way that entraps should be designed, in my opinion, when we talk about those powerful effects, because this card restricts you from using Dark, Water, and Fire. So this card is super powerful, but it also has, and it's not like super powerful, I would say it's very good, but it also restricts you a lot. And as for the same reason of Shifter, right? Only specific deck can play this card. And when you use this card, you won't have access, only when you use this card going second, I would say. You cannot access any more cards like SP, cards like Typhoon, or Ash Blossom. So this card actually only restricts you going second, because going first, if you set this card, the restriction does not apply. So it's not a bad card to have going first, because it's not gonna restrict your plays. It's actually an okay card to have going first, I would say. So we're gonna put it in cooking. I like it, but only a few decks can actually utilize this card. I love Impermanence. I always love the design of Impermanence, to be honest. I think this card is actually nice, especially right now. For Veiler, I think those cards like Impermanence and Veiler got so more powerful recently. It's actually crazy. For Mourner, I don't really see the point. Why would you play Mourner, to be honest? It does not amaze me, this card right now. It's an okay card. It's an okay card. It's not like I would cut it off the equation. I just don't like the card right now. Ash, in my opinion, got so much value recently, it's actually crazy. Like, literally, one of the best entrap, if it's, like, one of the best entrap, absolutely, to play. Like, Ash is actually insane recently. I love this card so much. Ogre is a very good card. Like, it's good against Yubel. It's good even if you draw it, again, like, cards like those are good even if you draw it as a 6, because, yes, I mean, I guess you can use it against Caesar, you can use it against, like, the Desirae. Like, you chain it to the effect of Desirae, and that's, like, then the Desirae does not negate anymore. Like, it's actually a nice entrap to have. Like, generally speaking, I love this entrap. Obviously, you cannot consider this one of the best entrap, because which ones are gonna be the entraps that are gonna make in the tier 0 list? Cards that can potentially stop a turn, that are not gonna always stop a turn, but or they have the highest chance to stop an opponent turn. Ash Blossom can stop a turn if your opponent opens a monoplay. Impermanence and Veiler, they apply the same logic. Shifter it's literally a turn stopper, no matter if you open combo or not. And then, like, Spooky Dogwood is literally maxi if you play before 15 minutes out of time. So, then we got Phantasme. Phantasme is an option that you might consider in the side deck. We saw the word list from Ruben playing it actually in the main deck, which is an option, which is definitely an option that could be taken in consideration. I think there are probably better options right now in the main deck over Phantasme. Definitely not really in Spicy, because it's a card that, like, we saw this card a lot during the previous format. It's very good against IP boards. It's good actually as a 6th card. In the TCG, it's even more broken than in the OCG, because we have different triggers rules. So definitely it's something that I would probably put in cooking. Like, it has actually a very high power level as a card. Like, this card being, like, even if you draw it as a 16, but if you play into an opponent Jubel body, if you entrap your opponent, you draw this card as a 6th, and they end on the rage, right? And they still make SP, but you have Phantasma Chilling 1, SP Chilling 2. It's super powerful. Super powerful. And this card was actually doing well at Worlds, but the trigger rules were different. Remember, guys, that in Worlds, they were using, in World Championship event, they were using the trigger rules of the OCG, which means that every end effect, even if they are triggered, it's considered a quick effect. So Phantasma could have always been negated. But like in TCG, we have turn player trigger rules, which means that the turn player for triggers is gonna be Chainlink 1, which makes this card actually way stronger. And I would actually maybe value this card even in the main deck. Droll, I saw many people being on Droll. To be honest with you guys, this card is an hit or miss. It's a meta call for an event, but it's not something that I would consider perpetually in a main deck. Could be in the side deck, it's spicy. I don't think it's wrong to play Droll. I just think it's a serious meta call that you will need to take, because this card, again, it's an hit or miss. If you think it's gonna be good, and if it's gonna be good, it's gonna be very good. If it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be super bad. And also it conflicts with Mulcharmy. Mulcharmy, do you guys remember when Mulcharmy came out? And many people were like, I don't even know if I wanna side this card. And meanwhile, I was there testing on Legal Online Simulator with the shit in the main deck. This card proved to be one of the best, like, side deck or main deck card. This card is broken. I'm playing this shit trio. Main deck or side deck. That shit is here. So, I would probably put it in cooking. For Nibiru, again, Nibiru was considered, like, probably after Apollosa, people were like, yo, Nibiru is gonna be crazy, Nibiru blah blah blah, Nibiru here, Nibiru there, throw the rock. Not really. People found a solution against Nib. Like, the card is definitely better than before, but people have a solid game plan against this card. Like, making Caesar, in combination with any Entrap, now Nibiru is way stronger. Like, even Nibiru Bestial now works, which is amazing now, actually. Having this card as your second Entrap, it actually feels great. I actually like Nibiru a lot now. Again, this card is not a turn stopper, so that's why I'm gonna put it in cooking. I think it's, like, those cards are usually good as a second or third Entrap, but are never good as the first one, and Dominus Purge has too many restrictions to be a chef's kiss. Diddy Crow is spicy. I saw it in some strategies, in some lists. I'm not against this card, actually. It's like, there are some decks that cannot establish bodies on the board, such as Melodius, right? And they will have to play Diddy Crow as an option instead of the Bestials, which makes sense, in my opinion. Like, after you playing stuff like Ash Impermanence, Veiler, and you cannot play Nibiru, then there is only Ogre, Mourner, and Diddy Crow. Probably at the bottom of the option. Spicy indeed. And then there is a card that's very specific. Very, very specific. Now, this card, it's Gizme Kuka, and can only be played in one deck. But, like, the deck that you're gonna play this card, maybe two decks. But, like, the deck that utilizes this card the most, it's branded. And say, Nash, what are you cooking? It's not that crazy. They go Moon, they go Requiem. Requiem effect. Summon from the deck the Fiendsmith. Drop di Uka. Uka effect. Summon Ecclesia. Ecclesia effect. Summon Albaz from the deck. Use Alba as effect. Make Albion into Jade. Voila. Summon a Mirror Jade in the opponent tour with Gizme Kuka. Imbra. It's not that crazy, right? It's not that crazy, right? Definitely not summoning a Jade in the opponent tour, it's crazy, right? Like, it's whatever. It's something that we saw, not many people were on it, but I just want to spread information. Again, it's something that you, like, it's a nice meta call. I wouldn't be against it. Then we got Vados. Vados is definitely raw, this format. Like, yeah, okay, I pop a field spell, but like... And that's why it's gonna be raw. Put Gordon Ramsay Pedula here.
This dish is a piece of shit.
Lancia is... I mean, good against only Ritual Beast. Against Evilly, we might see this card. It's not as bad as Vados, but like, if you find the space for this card, like, it's gonna be because you really need to cover the matchup. Miradora. Miradora is interesting, but it's gonna be like, it's gonna go in Overcooked because I don't see really the application behind this card. And now we got to the Retaliating Sea. Now, let's talk a second about Retaliating Sea. Now, Retaliating Sea can be used against runic cards, right? Retaliating Sea can be used against Branded, right? Retaliating Sea might be spicy. And it's gonna have also some... Like, I would consider to get this card now as well, because with Azamina is gonna also be strong, I think. I mean, it might be an option. It's not a bad card. Again, like, you need to cover, like, those cards in Spicy are cards that usually cover specific matchups. Schoolmeister, Overcooked, it's raw, actually. Like, what are you gonna use Schoolmeister against? Yubel in the graveyard? What are you gonna use Schoolmeister against? Flame Birching, Overcooked, actually. Overcooked. Bell. Bell is definitely overcooked as well. I don't really see the application of Bell, to be honest, right now. What are you gonna use it against? It's not. I mean, there are some applications for sure. I just don't see a good application. Spirit Reaper. Every time I think about Spirit Reaper, now there is no Lacrimosa anymore, right? So that means that Spirit Reaper can actually like stop the Finsmith game plan. Finsmith packages, it's not bad. Definitely not bad. If I think about it. Good against Ubel, actually. I mean, you're not gonna call Spirit of Ubel because that sounds crazy. Because they can just put it back with Throne. But like just calling the Finsmith stuff and avoiding them to actually go into Finsmith. That sounds good. That sounds like, even if you call a sequence, right? If you call a sequence, you cut them off from Desirae and you cut them off Aria Leader. Like, which means that's gonna be super good. And no, like, I don't think I would call I don't think I would call Requiem because then they can still go sequence maybe in a possible future and still summon the Aria Leader. While if you call sequence, you actually solve the issue at all. It's actually not bad. Again, an hard meta call. This card is an hard going second card. And you cut them off from a lot, actually. Like a lot. If they open good, this card is gonna be super bad. So might be spicy. Might be spicy for that specific reason. Contact C. Contact C. Only good against Branded, to be honest. I don't see any other application behind like actually using it against Branded. So Overcooked. Then we go actually on something that was being tested a lot, actually. Playing 1 Gamma, 2 Delta, 1 Driver. It's something that was actually being tested because in the previous meta, actually Gamma Delta was one of the few entraps that was actually doing something as a second entrap when like there were full combo stuff with Beatrice and stuff. Delta was actually, like, after doing the math over this card, this was the only entrap that was actually good as a second page. We have 1 Gamma now, but like I think Delta, the 2 Delta Gamma package, I think it's good. I think it's very good. But it's something that you could only side. Side option. As a side option, it also requires 4 spaces. 4 spaces, it's a lot. I'm gonna put it in spicy. It's hard to say. Herald of the Orange Light. Obviously, you can only see this card in only like in a couple of decks, right? Like Drytron, which is bottom rogue. I mean not bottom rogue. Like Drytron, it's a rogue deck. Right now, I would say like tier 2, solid tier 2. Okay, like literally glass cannon. Resolve combo, GG. Or you could see this card in Melodious. Interesting card. Obviously, it's good in pair. I mean, it's obviously a mandatory slot in Melodious. Like, where do you guys would place this card? Because, like, it's only good in one deck. As a general entrap, it's raw. If you play it in Melodious, it's definitely good. It's undercooked. Then we go Gnome Material. It's raw. I don't see good applications with this guy. Thank you. Then we see Rescue Ace Impulse. Impulse is... I mean, it was a decent entrap, actually. I saw many Labyrinth player playing 3 Impulse, 1 Fire Attacker, and 3 Phantasme. I think we got better entraps than this, to be honest. Definitely not horrible, but still overcooked. Now let's talk about some board breakers. Now, I want to be specific about this point, and that's why I'm also mixing board breakers and end traps and also staples in terms of going first and going second, because it's very hard to talk about those. And let me tell you why. Because board breakers apply to specific strategy, and every deck should have not always the same board breakers. Yes, cards like Talent, Droplet, Dark Ruler, Evilly, those are very generic, right? But cards like Sphere Mode, Book of Eclipse, or even cards like Change of Heart and Trust, those are also, or even Metal Tronus, those are cards that require a specific strategy, you to set your deck in a specific way, to build your deck in a specific way, to build your extra deck in a specific way in order to shine. And it's very hard to discuss those, because obviously it's gonna cause disagreement, obviously it's gonna be weird to explain why a certain card is good. I'm gonna do my best, and I hope you guys appreciate it. So let's talk about Sphere Mode. Sphere Mode is definitely right now a chef kiss card. I think this card is amazing right now. It's the only card that trades your normal summon in order to auto 3-body. There is no board breaker. There is no card in the format right now that does the same thing. Which deck can use this card? I think Snake Eye can use this card. There is only one Ash, there is only one Popular, but there are 3 Bonfire, 3 Wish, 3 Wanted. I mean, do your math, because that sounds like fucking Sphere Mode 3 up in my side deck right there. That sounds like I'm gonna drop the balls on the boat. That sounds like my opponent is gonna taste the... Okay, anyways, so I'm gonna put it in Chef Kiss. Like trading this card for 3 bodies of Yubel. Lava Golem. I would put it in Cooking. It's not as strong as Sphere Mode. It's still a solid card, but it's not as strong as Sphere Mode, to be honest. And also, I'm not even sure about Lava Golem, because the issue about Lava Golem is, yes, if it sticks on the board, then you give a Fiend to your opponent. Is that problematic to give a Fiend to your opponent? That might be problematic, especially against you, but it burns for time. Cooking. When I play a card like Kurikara, right? That means that I have to play into a board, bait my opponent interactions, and then tribute the bodies that my opponent used in order to gain value with Kurikara on the board, and like end out his board. Like that seems a very that seems like you already have to break a board, and it's a complicated position. By resolving Kurikara, you put yourself also in a worse position, to be honest. Like, yeah, like seems like raw, to be honest. Ferrir is... I actually like it a lot, actually. I think Ferrir is a broken card right now. Like, it's actually... like, I like it. I genuinely like it. As a board breaker, I like it a lot. Like, it's actually good. I like the way that it plays into an IP board. I like, if I had to play a monster board breaker, I would probably choose that. For Pancratops, Pancratops is not as good in my opinion. It might be okay, actually. Pancratops might actually be at the same level, because you can actually trade very well into Caesar. I mean, it's a 1-for-1 at the end, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1. But can be more than a 1-for-1 if you also play it. I guess Ferrir is an engine piece, and that's better than Pancratops. But Pancratops into fair board, it's actually disgustingly good. Because you can use the battle phase, trade a body, and then trade another body with Pancratops, right? Like, and that makes it good. Against Yubel, it's not that good, because Pancratops is only a 1 out of, like a 1-1. Hard to say. I don't want to say it's raw. We're gonna put it in overcooked because it does not seem like it's that good. Ultimate Slayer. Ultimate Slayer, yeah, it requires, like, if you play this card, you have to play a lot of shit in your extra deck. There are only a few decks, I guess, that can use this card. I think for the few decks that can use this card, they are cooking. But, like, I don't see this card being in a tier 1 deck, to be honest. So, if we talk about Ultimate Slayer, it's a card that you would not see in a tier 1 deck, in my opinion. Droplet, you would definitely see this card in a tier 1 deck. I would probably talk about this card. I think this card is nice. Droplet and Dark Ruler, those, again, like, those are cards that work in combination. So, I mean, for Ultimate Slayer, Spicy. Let's put it in Spicy. I really dislike it. Droplet, I would put it in Cooking. Evenly, those only work in combination if you can find the right deck to play, in my opinion. Droplet is not that crazy right now because, again, you have to trade a lot. Dark Ruler also works in combination. Like, it's probably, like, the best ones, actually, after, like, it's probably the best ones. I'm gonna put this in Spicy as well. I think Lava Golem goes to Spicy. Talent, solid card going first. To be honest, like, and going second, it's also nice. I like it a lot. Crossout right now? Crossout right now. Crossout, I don't like it now, actually. Because both the approach for Entraps and Board Breaker are super solid. And Crossout is... not good right now. I think after Fuwaros, we might talk about Crossout again. But right now, I think you are overcooking if you're playing Crossout. Because many decks are gonna be on Board Breakers. I think, actually, as never before, Board Breakers were broken. Brother, there were people that won events, important events, with Board Breakers when Apollosa, like, when there were the Apollosa shit. When there were the Beatrice shit. People were playing Board Breakers, and the shit was still strong. Now there is not anymore this shit. The boards are more fair than before. Into Entraps. Imagine Board Breakers now. Board Breakers are crazy, bro. You cannot play you cannot play Crossout doing a meta call for an event. In my opinion, that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to play Crossout right now. Board Breakers are, like, the strongest as they ever were. Call by going first card Spicy. I mean, I guess Dark Ruler can be, like, in the higher tier after Sphere Mode, because, yes, they have to chain the trap. And Droplet can potentially stop the trap if you discard the trap. I guess those can be actually nice here. Probably Droplet is better to a certain extent, but you have to discard a lot of cards. That sounds crazy. Change of Art. How do I feel about Change of Art, right? I'm not really sure about this. I don't feel like... I don't think I like those. Enemy controller. I can see this card working with cash cards, but still, I don't see where still monster cards should be played. Like, I don't see it. I don't like it. I see the potential of this card, but I don't like it. Book of Eclipse, in my opinion, is crazy good right now. Book of Moon, overcooked. Chalice, overcooked. Feather Duster is cooking. Like, again, like, you should at least have a Feather Duster in your side deck. Lightning Storm if you're playing Trust. Raigeki, it's only in Tenpai, but generally speaking, it's still cooking, actually. What the fuck? Raigeki does not seem that bad if I have to play multiple cards. Spellbound is raw. Trust is cooking. Snatch Steal is again like overcooked. So Barrier. Barrier is a card that plays very well with Trust. Going first. It's not a bad card whatsoever. The only issue that I have is, what are you siding Barrier? Barrier is good against Empire. Barrier is good against Melodius. Barrier is good against Runic, blah blah blah. Runic with Whitewoods, right? Barrier is good against Branded. Barrier is good against what else? I saw many people siding it against Ubel. It's probably one of the worst cards you can side against Ubel, to be honest. That's literally -1. It's not like the worst one. It like pays well with Entrap, but like you wanna set something like DDG. You don't wanna set something like Barrier. Against Purely, I guess. Tearlament, I guess. Oh, against Ritual Beast is okay. It's, yeah, against White Forest is good. I'll tell you one thing, right? I think the card is good in the side deck, right? And it's good with Trust. But there is one issue with this. Because all the decks that you guys mentioned, they don't usually play Entraps, right? Like, you play Ritual Beast, right? They don't play Entraps except for Shifter. So I guess Trust for Barrier deck comes. At Tempai, I guess they play, sometimes they play Entraps, sometimes they play Board Breakers, but Trust for Barrier is good, right? But against Branded, like Trust Barrier, like you have nothing, basically. You have only one Barrier to side, because you are insiding Trust against, like, Branded. That makes literally no sense. Guess if they drop the Mucharmi on you? Could Branded drop the Mucharmi on you? That could happen. That could happen. Maybe if you side this card, you need to side more copies. I think this card is nice. The same applies to DDG. I think those cards are, like, literally Trust, Barrier, DDG are the best into entraps such as Mucharmi, or to, like, if one of those is a win condition against your opponent, like, you're cooking. The same, in my opinion, does not apply to Simul Archfiend. I think this card is ass. Yes, it's searchable even with the Ubel combo and stuff like that. By sending the Archfiend to the graveyard, the triggers adds Simul Archfiend, but it's not good. Metal Tronus. I think this card is fucking amazing right now. It's probably top cooking. It's 100% top cooking. I think this card is amazing. Like I already explained you, like if you're playing Finsmith, I think you probably play Metal Tronus. Like activate this card over your opponent's Caesar, and it's probably a card that I would play in Ubel. I don't think I would play this card in another deck if I had to play a board breaker like this. Let's talk about Gotlaps. Gotlaps is good if you're playing cards like Foolish Goods. I think it's a bait no matter what, because it actually baits Desirae. It's good going first. If you send it with, like, again with goods. It's good going second. It's good to discard with Droplet. It's a very specific card. I'll put it in Spicy. As a going second, first card, depending on your deck. In terms of Floodgates, let's talk about the best Floodgates right now. Anti-spell. Again, like, those are very hard to discuss, right? Because I think Gotlaps is good. It's very good in specific deck. I think Artmage Slayer is very good in specific decks. I think it's all like, and then there is, I guess, Metal Tronus that's very good in specific decks, but like they have different impacts. So like it's actually weird to discuss those things. I'm gonna try again. I'm doing my best in order to explain you why I'm putting those in different tiers. But like I cannot apply the same logic to every card, which makes this kinda weird. So you will need to hear the entire discussion. For Anti-Spell, I mean, Anti-Spell going first, if you draw it, it's very good. Like, it's super good. It's amazing as a card. There is one thing though about anti-spell that I don't really like, and also that's also the reason why many people were not playing it in the side deck. The issue about anti-spell is if you play an end-trap grind, this card is actually stupidly bad, like horrible actually to activate. Because your opponent end-traps you activate this card, right? They maybe don't kill you, but then if you top deck a spell, or you have spells that like, if you top deck a spell that can help you to play, you cannot use it again. Like, it's very weird into grind scenarios, and it being a one-off, it's actually super bad in my opinion. I don't think I would play this card, but like it's still cooking at least. Definitely not Chef Kiss. I actually don't like this card personally in my side pattern, but it's still cooking at the minimum. Power Sink Stone. Power Sink Stone is super good in specific deck lists. It's very bad in others. It's a skill drain on legs in Labyrinth. In other decks, I would probably not consider this card. It's spicy at least. Cosmic Cyclone, I think it's very, very good right now. Very, very good. Going first, going second, this card is super, like, nice. Super Polymerization. I think the extra deck, once again, is probably one of the most important part of your deck, as I said previously. You need the tools in your extra deck to, again, like being able to overcome your opponent's strategy. And I do think that Super Poly is not it. I think it's overcooked. So Heatwave, we saw it in Tempai. I don't think it's good. I think there is no good strategy right now that I would play Heatwave. The issue about Heatwave is that if you play Heatwave, then you want to go first in Tempai, right? Or you side, I guess you side it for the Tempai mirror. But there is an issue with this card that I like, that makes, in my opinion, unplayable. It's the fact that Tempai wants to go second. Or at least, I would like Tempai to go second, because the deck is supposed to go second. The best strategy of Tempai is going second, also because they need to fix their lack of consistency by playing 3 Trust now for Terraform. And Heatwave, in my opinion, it's a whole lot of nothing right now. It's definitely raw. It's something I would never play. Then we got, I think it's Mistaken Arrest. Mistaken Arrest, spicy, could be cooking actually, but I would say spicy at best. Deck Lockdown, cooking. Skill Drain, it's probably a Chef Kiss. In a Ubel format, probably Skill Drain goes here, and Deck Lockdown is the Chef Kiss actually. In terms of Floodgates, Super Ancient Organism, this one, in my opinion, is very good actually. Believe it or not, actually, I don't dislike this card actually. Spicy, I would say it's spicy at best. There can be only one. Cooking, actually, might also be Chef Kiss right now. Chef Kiss. Yeah, there can be only one. It's probably one of the best ones right now. If you have to consider, I mean, for Snake it's no, right? But like, if you consider, it's probably like, it's very specific. It's a very specific card. I'd say it's cooking. It's definitely Chef Kiss against Ubel. It's cooking, generically speaking. It's probably there, right? Goals and Match. And Goals and Match is probably not it, this format. It's not it. Rivalry. The general power level of Rivalry is okay. Daruma Cannon. The general power level of Daruma Cannon is probably spicy. Fissure. General power level of Fissure. Going first. If your deck can afford it, spicy at best. And Strike, it's raw, 100%. And Judgment is... it depends on the strategy. Going first might be okay. No, it's not even okay, to be honest. You have to pay half of your life points to stop your opponent. I don't think it was ever good to do that. I'm gonna put it in raw. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. Let me know your thoughts. We might disagree about the Floodgates and board breakers because I'm applying a logic that's not always consistent, and I don't think there is a consistent logic to apply in those terms, so we might disagree about those. But again, let me know your thoughts. Which one is the best board breakers? Which one is the best end traps? Which ones are the best going first cards? Let me know what you think in the comment below. I'm gonna answer, I don't want to say to all of you guys, but to a good part of you guys. Like, I'm gonna answer to the first chunk of the YouTube comments that are gonna see. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And that's about it.